Welcome everyone in for a second season of Rock the Word 153. We're starting this season off, our second season in the podcast studio today here in the Abbeycast studio. We have Father John Zagarella, the prior of Dalesford Abbey, and the star of Rock the Word 153. So, John, before we get started on this next season coming up, I just am so curious about the madness behind the scenes and what goes into making a good episode of Rock the Word. So would you mind sharing with us, where do you get your inspiration from for these songs? What is your process for choosing them?
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. That's a great question. Rock the Word 153 is such a deeply personal expression for me because these songs all mean something to me, and none of them are explicitly religious. There might be a spiritual element to them, but the way it happens is, so, for example, I typically, at one episode of Rock the Word 153, have no idea what I'm going to do the next time. And I just sort of put it out there to just have the inspiration come. And and when it happens and it's right, that's the song. That's the song. And some people have recommended songs, and they're great. And I think they probably would make great episodes of Rock the Word 153. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't, fall into that slot where it's like, that's it, that's the song. And that's really how it happens. And that pretty much has been my experience with music all along. I mean, there's a lot of songs that I love. Not every one of them would make a good episode of Rock the Word 153. But I think I shared this in another, maybe in another episode. It's kind of like when I hear a song that to me is beautiful on one level. So it could be the melody, or it could be words that just stop me in my tracks. When I have an experience like that where it just stops me, then I know that song is going to be special for one reason or another. Mm. Some of those special songs wind up as an inspiration for Rock the Word 153. So it really is a very personal thing. And the beauty of it is that the medium of popular music, whether it's rock or disco, the music that has always been special to me, the Lord has used that as a way to reach me, and just it's a connection. It's a connection from me to God. And that part of it is really, it's a mystery. But I think inspiration is a mystery,
Absolutely.
So I don't know why, but it's from when I was knee-high to a grasshopper. This has been the story of my life, really. So that's really how it happens. And I'm glad to start this second season, if you will, of Rock the Word with a little bit of an explanation for how I get from the CD player or the radio or the computer to Rock the Word, how that bridge is gapped. Or how that gap is bridged. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, you're just grooving right now, right?
I am.
But that really is what you're doing for being the camera guy and watching you do these and editing them. It's really quite fun to be a part of, because most of these are done in one take, where you just kind of find your jam and you run with it. And every once in a while you'll say, "Oh, can we do that last part again? I wanted, to emphasize this one point." But you are totally in the moment and you're just letting it flow. And I've even seen Father John around here in the Abbey with headphones on, and he's stopped me and he's been like, "I've got the inspiration for the next song." Yeah. So it's truly and obviously a part of your life.
Yeah, it really is. And the thrill of it is finding a way, quite unexpectedly. Andrew asked me, probably in the late spring, about this, and The question fully didn't get out of his mouth before I said, yes, absolutely, I want to do this. So this came unexpectedly. I'm grateful to you, Andrew, for your inspiration, for putting this together and making this possible, because I really never ever thought in my lifetime that I would be able to find a way to express something that has been so deeply personal and unique, really, in terms of the experience here at the Abbey. So really grateful. So are we ready to rock the word?
I think we're ready to rock the word. Yeah, I would imagine this audience is waiting just on this edge of their seats, ready to listen and jam out with us. So without any further ado, we're going to flip over from the AbbeyCast studio to the Prior's office here at the Abbey, where Father John will get us kicked off with Season 2 of Rock the Word 153.
Oh, yeah, and it promises to be a real supernova.
Oh, and actually, before we get into this next episode, I think you had a little COVID attire that you wanted to flex to the audience here.
Funny you should ask. All right, you ready for this?
Yes.
Now this is a rock the word mask, if ever there was one.
Nice.
So what do you think, huh?
Very appropriate.
Okay. So this first episode of Rock the Word 153 Season 2 is not going to be an Elton John song, but alas and alack, he's always with me.
Awesome. Should we rock?
Let's rock.
Shining like the supernova, brightest of the stars. From another galaxy like Jupiter and Mars. 1,000 light years, you call to me. It's supernatural, your energy. New horizons, new galaxy.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Rock the Word 153. We're getting set for season number 2, and very excited today to be here again and to talk about some great music and how that music is a bridge between me and God, and hopefully a bridge between me, God, and you. And so today I'm captivated by the fact that it's the 12th of February, and it's the last Friday before Ash Wednesday. So we're heading into the season of Lent, and the beginning of Lent is always a sign to me that spring is coming. And indeed it is, and we see that the days are getting longer, and that's always another positive sign that spring is on the way and the light is coming into the world. And indeed, as we think about our spiritual journey, we know that this has been such a challenging time for all of us with COVID-19, and the winter months have been especially challenging and in a way especially devastating. But yet the days are getting longer. The light is already here, and the light is coming into the world. So this image of the light coming into the world really, really stays with me. And the genesis of that, of the light coming into the world being the inspiration for this episode of Rock the Word 153, actually started around Christmas. And, if you remember in the news, Jupiter and Saturn were aligning and creating the brightest star in the sky. And some said that may have been occurring at the time of the very first Christmas when Jesus was born. The star that the 3 wise men saw that led them to the Christ child, that may very well have been the star that we were seeing, the alignment of Jupiter and Saturn. And I remember on those cold December nights, the first days of winter, going out here around the Abbey and looking for that star, and I found it one night. And it was such a consolation, because like all of us celebrating the joy and beauty of Christmas, yet with the COVID-19, it just was just a very different Christmas, and there was a heaviness that hung over all of us. So that was really the beginning of the inspiration for this Rock the Word 153, the star that shone in the sky, the brightest star in the sky, that may have been the very same star that shone in the sky at that very first Christmas night. And now with the days getting longer. The light is already here, and the light is indeed coming into the world. Well, in November, Australian singer Kylie Minogue released an album called Disco, and it immediately caught my attention because of the title. I've always enjoyed her music, always loved her music, but being a 70s and 80s kid, music of the 70s and 80s for me is the soundtrack of my life. So an album titled Disco is immediately going to catch my attention. And I have to tell you, it's my favorite album of the year, and probably will wind up on my favorite albums of all time, because it is exactly what it's titled. It is a disco album from start to finish, and I love it. And like all music, it's kind of like smells, but maybe even more so. Smells bring us right back to a time and place, and for me, and probably for you, music does the same. So disco music brings me back to my youth, a very exuberant experience. I love the music. I love the orchestration. I love the joy that comes forth from disco music and from the whole disco movement. So this album really, really captured me. I love it. There's a song on this record called Supernova, and the words to the song just fit perfectly with this compelling and profound image for me of the light of the world, the light coming into the world, and the experience of light illuminating the darkness. So Kylie begins this song, Supernova. Shining like a supernova, brightest of the stars, from another galaxy like Jupiter and Mars. So, all right, it's not Jupiter and Saturn, it's Jupiter and Mars, but it put me right there, you see. 1,000 light years you call to me. It's supernatural, your energy. New horizons, new galaxy. I'm coming for your gravity. So that whole sense of being pulled into the light of Christ just came to me and just was very compelling from the beginning of this song. And then she goes on and she says, all I need is just a little bit of your starlight shining over me. I never knew an aura so bright. When I heard that, all I could picture are these beautiful images of Jesus with the beautiful halo, the aura around his head. And so this song for me was perfectly suited for Jesus Christ, the light of the world, the light that we know is more and more pronounced in these days, these winter days when the days actually become longer. It made me think right away of the scripture passages that talk about light dispelling the darkness. And the first one is from the Gospel of John, and the very beginning of his gospel. In the beginning was the Word, capital W, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came to be through him, and without him nothing came to be. What came to be through him was life, and this life was the light of the human race. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Then it talks about the role of John the Baptist. John was sent from God. He was to testify to the light. He was not the light, but he testified to the light. And so that whole experience of our role, my role and your role, in what do we do with this light that comes into the world? What do we do with the light of the world? We are called to experience the light, acknowledge the light, but then we're also called, brothers and sisters, to be that light, to be a supernova for one another. Our job is to embrace the light and be the light. So by everything that we say and do, we bring the light of Christ wherever we go. So you get that sense in this reading from the first chapter of the Gospel of John. John wasn't the light, but he came to testify to the light, right? Then in the first letter of John, beloved, I am writing no new commandment to you, but an old commandment that you had from the beginning. The old commandment is the word that you have heard. And yet I do write a new commandment to you, which holds true in him and amongst you, for the darkness is passing away, and the true light is already shining. So, these winter days, where the days get longer, it's a testament to the fact that the light never goes out, no matter what. No matter what is happening in our lives, no matter what's happening in the world, no matter what might be happening inside of us. If we're having a gloomy day or a bad run, the light's still there, right? And so that experience of this light already being here. Whoever says he is in the light yet hates his brother is still in darkness. Whoever loves his brother remains in the light, and there is nothing in him to cause a fall. Whoever hates his brother or sister is in darkness, and he walks in darkness and does not know where he is going because the darkness has blinded his eyes. So it really speaks to our responsibility. The light, brothers and sisters, the light of Christ is here. It's in our midst. It's for our embracing, but it's also something that we have to hold dear and protect. We have to be very, very careful that we don't do anything of ourselves to snuff the light of Christ out. Not only for ourselves, but we have to make sure that when we're in the company of one another, that we're acting in ways and speaking in ways that further the light, not block it. We can't be a block to the light. We have to be one who's able to embrace, announce it, and share it. And so that experience that we read in John's Gospel, and then in this first letter of John, what's our response to one another? Are we really loving? And that profound sense that if we say we're loving, but yet we hold hatred or grudges in our heart, that we're still in the darkness. How could we be one another's supernova? How could we bring the light of Christ, the brightest star in the sky? How could we bring that light to one another? And I love Matthew's Gospel because for me, this is where Jesus, the light of the world, and our role really comes together in this Gospel. In Matthew 5, verses 14 to 16, he says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a mountain cannot be hidden. They do not light a lamp and put it under a bushel basket. It is set on a lampstand where it gives light to all in the house. Just so, your light must shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your heavenly Father." So, brothers and sisters, this episode of Rock the Word 153 really does challenge us to ask ourselves the question, how are we setting the light of Christ that lives in each one of us? How are we setting that on a lampstand for everybody to see? Are we setting it on a lampstand for everybody to see? Are we a supernova for one another? Lord Jesus, I really want your light to shine over me. I want your light to be the brightest aura that captivates me and moves me and enables me to share that light with one another. Kylie finishes the song with, "There isn't anybody on planet Earth the way you got me. I'm on my way to your dimension. Shine over me, shine over me. I never knew an aura that was so bright. Shine like a supernova." So brothers and sisters, as we enter the holy season of Lent, as we approach Ash Wednesday, and we take note of the fact that indeed the days are getting longer, and the light of the world, which is already here, comes anew through me and you. So as we give ourselves over to the light, and we make a promise during the season of Lent that any tendency to stay in darkness, we would fend off and we just won't go there. That we will take the light of Christ, our supernova, this aura that's brighter than any other star in the sky. We'll take that and we will embrace it. And let's make a promise, brothers and sisters, that we will be that light. We will be one another's supernova. So put on your dancing shoes and spread the light. Let's be one another's supernova this Lenten season. God bless you, and dance like nobody's watching.
Shining like a supernova, brightest of the stars. From another galaxy like Jupiter and Mars.